welcome to a very special Passover edition of How Do You Jew with your host, Rabbi Ariel Konstantyn. I'm going to take you through the steps of how to create your very own Seder. This year, so many are finding themselves needing to conduct their own Seder and lead it for the first time. So we're going to provide for you a full tutorial of how to put together this Seder for you. And we're going to start first with the items that you need on the table. First of all, of course, it is Passover. So instead of bread or challah, we have matzah. Now, we have not only matzah, we have special matzah called shmura matzah, matzah shmura. And that is matzah that is watched from the time of the harvesting until the full baking of the matzah, that it does not come in contact with the water, except for the very last stage, which is from the time that the dough is mixed until it is baked, that 18 minutes. And those matzot are on our table. Now, on a normal Shabbat or festival, we have 2 chalot. But on Passover night, on Pesach night at the Seder, we have 3 matzot. Now, many of you might have a very special matzah cover. If you don't, it's fine. But what's important is to have 3. So we've got one here, a second one over here, and a third over here. There we go, it's coming. Okay, so we've got, as if you can see, hopefully, 3 matzot for the Seder night. We're going to explain what to do with those 3 matzot in a little bit. They represent many things, but we're going to show that as we move forward in the Seder. So that's component number 1, 3 shmura matzahs. You can use handmade matzah, which are often round. You can use machine-made matzahs, which are also shmura. As long as there's a shmura on the box, you're good. For this year as well, Yeshiva University has put out this halachic decision that it's permitted to use regular matzah, but if you could get your hands on shmura matzah, that's most certainly preferred. The second major item that you need on your Seder table is a Seder plate. Now, if you have a Seder plate, that's wonderful. If you don't, what's important is to have the various components of the Seder plate itself, and let's go through what they are. We don't have them all on the table now, as we have not yet done our Passover shopping, but we're going to show you a number of the things as they would look like. First of all, we have the shank bone. The shank bone represents the Passover lamb that was once brought when we had a holy temple in Jerusalem. Today we put a shank bone as a symbolic measure of that Passover lamb that we used to eat in temple times. We have an egg, and hot commodity today in Israel. That this egg is representative of the festival offering, the Korban Chagiga, that was also brought in the temple, which was the main course of the Seder meal. Represented today by the egg. Egg represents various things, including the fact that when you cook an egg, it gets tougher, as opposed to everything else that you cook, it falls apart, it gets soft. And in Egypt, they tried to cook us hard, but we got tougher and stronger through it. And it also represents rebirth, as Passover represents the birth of the Jewish nation. Moving over, we have the karpas, which could be celery, which this is, or could be parsley, and some people use as well potato. That was because they were lacking something green and leafy. We ideally want something green, also representing spring and rebirth as the season changes, and we remember that this is the independence holiday of the Jewish nation, the birth of the Jewish nation, and that is the karpas. Over here, we have horseradish root, very sharp and pungent. We'll talk about that later in the Seder. It's known as maror. Maror is the bitter herb that we eat to remember the bitterness of the slavery in Egypt. Some people also have romaine lettuce. We have here representing spinach leaves, but romaine lettuce is another version of the bitter herbs. Often people use a combination of the horseradish root and the romaine lettuce. And the final piece on the Seder plate is the charoset. The charoset there are various ingredients for various recipes, but it basically represents the mortar of the bricks that the Jewish people were building for Pharaoh in Egypt. It's a sweet dish as well that we dip the maror into the charoset, which we'll see later on in the Seder. One final component of the Seder plate, which is often off to the side or sometimes in the middle, is salt water, because we're going to dip the karpas into salt water, and we're going to dip the maror into the charoset. So there are 2 dippings that are going to happen, and the salt water is one of the components on the Seder plate. The next item I'd like to draw your attention to on the table is wine. Now, every festival meal or Shabbat, we drink wine as we make Kiddush. However, on Passover night at the Seder, we need to drink 4 cups of wine. Therefore, not just the head of the household, but everybody has a cup of wine. You could have a special Kiddush cup like this, or you could have just a wine goblet like we have here, but everybody drinks those 4 cups. You could drink wine or grape juice, or a mixture of the two. Either way, it is important that each person drinks 4 cups of wine, as they represent the 4 terms of redemption that God used to describe his taking us out of Egypt, and therefore everyone drinks 4 cups of wine. We also lean to the left when we drink it, as we'll describe later, as a description of being free men. Another item that we need on the Seder table is the Hagaddah. The Hagaddah is the Passover story, and every stage that we have to do, there's a particular formula that we follow on Seder night, from making the first Kiddush until the conclusion of the Seder. It's called Seder because that it means order, because there's a particular order that we follow, and therefore you need a Hagaddah. We will put below a link to an online Hagaddah that you can download for your Seder in case you don't have a Hagaddah. We have various versions of Haggadahs as well. Some have commentaries, some are for children, and even Sammy Spider's first Haggadah. You can choose the one that fits for you. In addition, we need a cup of Elijah, Kos Shel Eliyahu, is while we drink 4 cups of wine. There is the 5th cup, as God promises he'll take us to the land of Israel. Since the Messiah has yet to come, that cup is not drunk, but rather poured for Elijah, hoping that he will come speedily in our days and herald the era of the Messiah. Also, there are many people who decorate the table. We've got little frogs here representing the 10 plagues and various other items, darkness and pestilence and various elements. We want to engage the children and have a question and answer what's going on, and therefore we dress the table up festively to help tell the story of Egypt in an interactive way. The final item that I'd like to draw your attention to is the pillow. Now, we mentioned that each of the 4 cups of wine, we lean to the left, and therefore we often use a pillow to do that leaning. Why do we lean to the left altogether? Because in the time the Haggadah was written, in Roman times, that's how people ate, on couches. We lean to the left so that when we chew and swallow, we don't choke. And we want to represent ourselves as free men. If you have an armrest, it's perfect. If not, like in these chairs, you just kind of use the pillow and lean, but it's to represent royalty, that we are the children of kings, and we're no longer slaves since we left Egypt. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching. This has been the first part in a series of how to run your own Seder. To go to the next part, click right over here to subscribe to our channel. Over here, or to see the full series in the playlist of how to run your own Seder, right over here. See you in the next clip.